Alright guys, I want to talk a little bit about this recent live event that happened, and starting off with Hypex actually. Hypex ended up posting this after the live event happened. After this event, I realized that some people's expectations are actually through the roof. This is accurate, and if you happen to be watching this video down the road, I'm talking about the Fortnite Super Live event. For my thoughts, I thought the event was just good. I thought it was a big missed opportunity to expand the storyline a little bit more. I'm personally worried that they're kind of resetting things with Daigo, and I don't like the fact that the collab ended up saving the day, but it was a fun event. We could all come together for it. It told a little bit of a story. I think it was a satisfying event, and I do find myself agreeing with Hypex. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to get a bunch of reactions from the event on the Explore page, replies to myself, replies to Hypex. Let's get into it, everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. So Hypex did say that, and I ended up also posting this over on X over here. And this is typically where I would say something like, please drop your thoughts down below, and I'd love to use it for a video, but we got a ton of stuff over there. On top of that, I read a lot of these replies already. I just thought it made for interesting enough conversation to make a video. So I ended up posting this and actually got a ton of views over here. Everyone is convincing themselves epic hype this through the roof. At some point, this community needs to take accountability for their own expectations. Sit back and think for a minute. Maybe there's a reason why every time there's an event, it's the worst one ever. What I said here is completely accurate. It's completely true. How many Epic Games posted a teaser for the event? Hey, there's an event this time. Here's your countdown. By the way, everybody was asking for that countdown. And everybody runs with that. Oh, the last reality's coming back. This is going to be bigger than the Chapter 2 finale. The map's going to flip again. The foundation's coming back. All they did was say that there's a live event. There is nothing about that made Epic Games go, okay, guys, it's really important for you to pay attention here if you're a storyline fan. All they said was story event, and they delivered on that. It was a good event. It wasn't anything like Fractured, okay? The only thing that I will agree with the Fortnite community on is I know that there are a lot of people still dealing with lag. I know they're still dealing with people like getting booted out of the game. Epic Games needs to fix that. That's borderline unacceptable. I know like things happen and they don't intend for it to happen. I know it's much easier said than done, but I think Epic Games needs to get a hold of that. Other than that, the event was fine, okay? So we're going to hear what everybody had to say about it. Again, in replies to me saying this, in replies to Hypex, the Explore page, a lot of people had a lot to say. Like and subscribe, by the way, guys, if you have not already. Casey had this to say. You'd think the billion-dollar company that advertised it as a regular BR event with teasers and everything would put a bit more effort into it. But I get it, Hypex. Keep coping that this game will never be as good as it once was and will eventually go further downhill. Then you'll have to get a real job. I believe this is rage bait, and I'm with Hypex in the reply there. I believe this is rage bait, but the thing is, there are a lot of people out there that legitimately have this opinion. You'd think the billion-dollar company that advertises a regular BR event with teasers and everything. It was like the most basic teasers of all time. It wasn't even like a trailer where it's like, all right, it's the Fortnite characters walking up to the Cube Queen in the Chapter 2 finale event. They said story event. There was something small for it. They delivered on it. A lot of people have their expectations absolutely through the roof. My expectations were low, and I enjoyed it. It kind of met my expectations, to be honest with you. Todd had this to say. Honestly, I kept my expectations, but I don't know why people are getting upset at the very end. It's literally what we wanted from Chapter 2 Season 7, plus Superman had involvement in this season's lore, so it makes sense why he stepped in. I replied to saying that, to be honest, it's fair to be disappointed in Superman saving the day. I personally don't like that. Just in general, everyone's overreacting as usual. I get it, but if you really think about it, if it wasn't for Superman, the Academy would have lost, and I understand, a collab ruining the fun, but it was like a small portion of the event. Personally, it's an 8 out of 10. Again, I'm understanding of people not wanting collabs get in front of the storyline. I like the fact that collabs are part of the storyline, but you just know, and I hate to say this. I hate to say that. But if Donald Mustard was in charge, that wouldn't have happened. Superman would have played a very small portion. I understand, like, Superman's a big part of the season. They want him to be part of the event. That's part of the deal with DC, right? He has to come in and do something grand in the event. That was the point of it. The point of it was for Superman. The point of it wasn't to continue the story. It was completely unnecessary, in my opinion. That's what I don't like about it. And I do understand, again, people being disappointed by that. But again, it's not the end of the world. As I said in that tweet, everybody is just overreacting as usual. Tater had this to say over here, wasn't even a full-blown event, and it was cool as hell with comic panels and a cool boss fight, and effing Superman, and people are still expecting a brand new game inside of event. That's the thing, right? I'm interested in the reply over here too. That's what happens when everyone gaslights each other into thinking that every event is going to be a big 20-minute live event. Right when it first got leaked, everyone started saying it was going to have its own playlist. Stop falling for it, people. And I said this too, and I'm truthfully not saying this to toot my own horn or anything, but this is something that I said. We don't even know if it's going to be a mini event. I went into this expecting a little mini event. All they said was story event. Oh, but last time, the blah, 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 blah. Like, all they said was story event. And they delivered on that. And I know that there's also a lot of people out there talking about the comic panels being lazy. I don't think that's the case. It's always a possibility, guys. But nothing Epic Games has done in the past has made me think that, okay, they're going to be lazy with this one live event over here. It satisfied the comic fans. It had a certain vibe to it. It was a superhero themed season. They had comics, and it was kind of, I don't want to say it was expected to have comics, but it's not surprising to have the comics show up in the event. And a lot of people actually really do like that aesthetic with the comic panels, okay? Link X had this to say. 1, lag. 2, Epic has done so much better. 3, servers were completely unstable. I understand having a hard time getting in, but it should run smooth once you're in. Excuse me if you hear my notifications, guys. 4, lag over 1,000 plus ping with fiber 1 gig internet. This is understandable. If people are experiencing this type of thing, this is something that Epic Games needs to get on. And again, I know it's easier said than done. I know that, but if you're bringing in a live event, I think that you should have your servers working, because a lot of people are dealing with this type of thing. But to bring up like 2, Epic Games has done better. Yeah, events are better than some other events. I don't really understand the the big deal in saying that, okay? Apollo had this to say. People complain that Epic don't market their mini events, but when they do, they still complain. Gotta love the Fortnite community. And I replied to that saying, my favorite part about all this is Epic could literally say, hey guys, we're having a 20-second super mini event on Saturday, and everyone would take that and run with the last reality coming back and flipping the island again. That's true though. They could literally say, guys, this event's gonna be 10 seconds long, the equivalent of a challenge, and they're gonna be like, but the foundation, the last reality, we're gonna see the cube cradle come back. I want to see that just as much as you guys. But why are we taking that and running with it? And that's true. Everybody gets pissed off when there's no event timer, when there's no event announcement, when we don't know the time for things. Be grateful. And for some reason, when I say that, that's such a horrible thing to say. Be grateful for this slop bootlicker. I'm just a content person, okay? I'm not chronically online. Stale Cheetos had this to say. 6 out of 10. Pretty dope overall. Nice to see story focus, but it was relatively short. Plus, Superman kind of came in and did everything, which I mean, yeah, he's Superman, but like, that was a bit of a killjoy moment. That's kind of how I feel about it. I think that's a very fair point, and I completely agree. Nothing really to add to that point. Okay, let's continue on to another user. Actually, our expectations weren't even that high. We were just hoping for something that was at least decent. The event was laggy, had no storyline at all, just 30 seconds of dialogue from a single character. They couldn't even bother using animations for the heroes, just a PNG on the screen. Zero hype. Okay, break it down a little bit, right? Our expectations weren't even that high. Maybe some of us weren't. My expectations weren't high, but I would say the vast majority of people, their expectations were high. We were just hoping for something that was at least decent. It was decent. The event was laggy, unacceptable on Epic Games' end, had no storyline at all, just 30 seconds of dialogue from a single character. I think it had enough for what the event was, where it was satisfying, okay? They couldn't even bother using animations for the heroes, just a PNG on the screen. That was the aesthetic of the event. That was the point of it. That was the theme of the season. And a lot of people like it when Epic Games sticks to the theme of the season. All right. Now, here's the biggie, all right? By the way, before we get into this big tweet over here, let me stop you for just a second. As you guys know, with these videos, I had been advertising my supporter creator code. I ask if you do not have a code that you are currently using in the item shop, you consider using my code, Code Clen. I've been grinding as hard as I possibly can on YouTube. I want to live a life with my family. I want to retire my wife, all of that great stuff. So if I ask again, if you do not have a code that you are currently using in the item shop, please consider using my code, Code Clen. You guys have been helping me, giving me some breathing room each month. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Cyan had this to say. Clen, the event was fucking ass. There's no defending this shit. Epic is murdering their own game, and it's sad. And what I had to say to Cyan, dude, there is so many replies of people talking about Cyan. Guys, I love Cyan over here on the channel. He's a friend of mine. Cyan is literally the type of player that I was talking about in my tweet. Literally. Somebody who is just looking for every reason in the book to be dissatisfied and forcing himself to absolutely hate everything. Someone who clearly, and I don't even know if he doesn't like Fortnite anymore, but if he doesn't like Fortnite, he is continuously forcing himself to make himself hate the game. You know, paying attention to Fortnite. That's what I mean. He's paying attention to Fortnite, clearly hating it, making himself hate it. There's no satisfying people like Cyan. Cyan is literally the player that I'm talking about, okay? Tater had this to say. I do find it interesting that a massive portion of players complain that mini events get no promo and no timers, so they didn't know when it would happen or if it was happening. So this time Epic tweeted it, give us a timer, and due to that, it's an issue and they over-promoted. Fortnite community proving that either way Epic goes either left, right, up, or down, they will find a reason to complain no matter what. I can't believe that people out there are saying, well, Epic Games over-promoted. Like, that's true. That's what you're hearing all the time. Epic Games over-promoted. What the hell did they do? Is that over promoting? Hey guys, there's an event and it's going to tell a story. That's like the most underpromoted event they've ever done, man. Look, mate, I stayed up until 4:30 in the morning for this event, and I'm sorry, but I didn't particularly think it was worth staying up that late for it. I'm just going to be completely honest here, and I swear it was probably the most cookie-cutter event we've probably gotten in a while. I should have mentioned this earlier. It's totally fine to not like the event. It's totally, totally fine. I'm talking about this online Fortnite community where it's clearly an issue where people's expectations are too high, because every single time we have an event, it's the worst one ever. I get that. I wouldn't think that this event was worth staying up until 4:30 in the morning for. I wouldn't think that at all. I would have went, oh, I stayed up for that. So it's understandable, and it's okay to dislike events, you know? No matter what you say, this community will never learn. We'll see people complain about the future events, always insult the devs, Tim, etc. Just because they don't like it, no matter what Epic does, it's a lose-lose for them. They're not winning. And that's another problem with the Fortnite community, too. Just because I don't like it means everybody else must not like it. Just because I didn't like the comic aesthetic doesn't mean, no. Everybody else didn't like it either, okay? Nobody liked this. I didn't like it. Nobody liked it. I don't understand how you can walk through life with that attitude, man. But it's true. Crazy, man. I expected more of a fight, to be honest. That's fair. I did expect more of a fight as well. I don't personally, besides the Doctor Doom event with being an exception, I personally don't like the live events where we're just like fighting something. I would have liked to see a cutscene with a fight, and we've seen this time and time again from Epic Games that they're capable of making more than what we saw. So I don't want to say it was slopper or anything. It's just I prefer other things that we've had in the past, okay? G-Pog had this to say, expecting it to work isn't a high expectation. My game crashed a minute before the event, and I loaded into a second one and a player killed me. I agree with that. That's not a high expectation, and that's something that Epic Games should absolutely get a hold of. I think that everybody had their expectations too high for this event, but for the people who lagged out, for the people who dedicated a lot of their Saturday, which there's a lot of people who do things on Saturdays, okay? Had to pause, not everybody. But if you're taking the time out of your day to log on early, make sure you're on time. I think the least that Epic Games could do is make sure that these events work, okay? People complain about this crap like this are so ridiculous and just bored. I wish they'd go back to their old ones, but I don't bitch about it. I just simply don't attend because it doesn't interest me. It's not that hard to do. Isn't it crazy that I have to go, yeah, you know what? The Fortnite community could really learn something from this. Is if you don't like it, don't go. If you don't like Fortnite, don't sit down and consistently force yourself to play it. Isn't it crazy that we have to say things like this now? It's unbelievable. This should be the default attitude for people. You don't like the live events. You're dissatisfied with the storyline. Don't pay attention. Do something else. Play a different game. Do you know how many great stories there are out there? There's countless. Whether that's movies, TV, your own games, there are so many great story games out there. You don't have to constantly force yourself to play with something you're not satisfied with. I shot guns and a PNG appeared. That was so disappointing. There was nothing that genuinely sucked. The atmosphere felt dead and empty. It just had no weight or anything. I just kind of feel blue balls. I don't want to, like, I get that. And again, it was underwhelming for me too. And you don't have to like the event. That's totally fine. And I think it was a little bit more than I shot guns and PNGs appeared though. Well, no, they literally said it was a story event, not a mini event or boss fight. The event was okay, just overhyped, and I wouldn't be mad if they just said it was going to be mini event. But they literally did say it was a story event. What about that said that this is going to be a full-fledged live event? Mini events are story events too. Like the last one was a full-fledged live event, they called it a narrative event. I don't understand why people took the word story event and just ran with it. They delivered exactly on what they advertised. So they literally said it was a story event. That's okay. They did a good job with the story event, man. Rage Quit God had this to say. When you put a timer for an event or maybe don't have events that much, people are kind of starved for live events and want more. People are going to cling to anything that is only happening once and that has a timer. Should Epic stop having timers so people stop overhyping themselves? I actually do think that. I think that Epic Games should just drop a live event randomly, and that would actually bring back the magic from Chapter 1. You wouldn't have to deal with this crap all the time. If you happen to be online playing it made for a special moment, I don't care. I think that's the way to do it. This community has proved time and time again that there is absolutely no satisfying with them. So Epic Games should just surprise the people playing their game. If it works, it works. Oh my god, this cool thing happened. I always point back to Kevin the Cube and why it was one of the greatest moments in Fortnite history. Nobody knew it was going to happen. People were just playing, Kevin appeared, one of the best moments of all time. I think they should do that with live events completely, unless it's like a chapter-ending event. DJ Stars, if I had this to say, The only thing that massively disappointed me is the fact that Daigo is now a good person again because he got smacked by a tentacle. I'm starting to think that somebody is sabotaging Epic's story at this point. I'm going to make an update video on this depending on, well, not depending. We're going to talk about, and this is why I'm waiting on the update. I want to see what happened with Daigo. If they kind of just scrap that story, I'm done with Epic Games' story. I know it's how it's going to go, and I'm going to make a video saying, guys, I'm trying to be interested. They did a good job, but I'm out. I will honestly do that. But I don't think it's right to say just yet. Maybe there's still some interesting dialogue from Daigo, and they put a lot of effort into the story of this chapter, so I'm going to give it a chance, but they better do something with Daigo instead of just having him whacked with a tentacle. Oh, dark presence no more. Little Kato Thorn action, except a little bit better than that, so we'll have to wait and see. But if you want to talk a little bit more about the Fortnite storyline, why don't you check out this video on screen right now? I would love to have you over there. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Take care, everybody.